Make Naira Bets your home for online horse racing and betting. Use Naira Bets to bet on live horse racing from around the world. Bet from anywhere, anytime using your computer or mobile device. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up at NairaBets.com and start earning your sign-up bonus today. Naira Bets, racing's best play. Sign up to Naira Bets and get a $200 bonus. Naira Bets, racing's best play.
Well, the race you've all been waiting for is almost here, the Kentucky Derby, the big one at Churchill Downs this Saturday. 20 horses squaring off to settle the score at Churchill Downs, and it's a very, very fun race. A lot of good stuff going on at Naira Bets as well. You'll want to get ready for the Derby. It's Derby week, and through this weekend, earn up to a $200 bonus to sign up at Naira Bets. Use promo code DERBY. NairaBets.com. Also on the Kentucky Derby, a 10% winner's bonus, mobile only, betting the exacta on the Kentucky Derby. And as I was saying, unlike recent Kentucky Derbies, there is no conclusive favorite in this race. And I think we've seen 4 straight favorites win the Kentucky Derby. Well, maybe it'll happen again, but that favorite won't pay under $10. So that's a good thing. And there is money to be made in this Derby. And to me, it's so much about value. A lot of horses can win, and I really wouldn't talk anybody off of any horse in this Kentucky Derby, but I think it's up to you to find horses that you think are fair enough prices, and that's why horses like Classic Empire, who's a short price in the morning line at 4-1, Always Dreaming. I don't understand the short price on McCracken on the morning line. Maybe Irish Warcry of the favorites, he's the one I would use, but be open to some prices. It's not going to chalk out like it has in recent years. Now, we'll start out down at Oaklawn, and we'll look at Classic Empire's win in their Arkansas Derby. Classic Empire, it was nice to see him get the win, and this was a horse that if he improved in his 3-year-old year on his Breeders' Cup juvenile form, he would be a prohibitive favorite. That did not happen. More stops than starts. He got it done. He was a little bit tough to rate early, and he was close enough to a hot pace to suggest maybe that took something out of him, but this was a slow race, and the second-place finisher clearly ran the best race here, and I'm going to guess the second-place finisher, Conquest Mo Money, wouldn't be your top selection in the Kentucky Derby. Horses like Looking at Lee and Sonneteer, they were merely clunking up behind a fast pace that evaporated. I don't want horses out of the Arkansas Derby, and to me, the underlay of the race would be Classic Empire at a short price. I respect this horse. I hope he does well for the connections. His Breeders' Cup Juvenile, once again, was terrific, but his 3-year-old form has left too much to be desired for me. So the Arkansas Derby is a race that I am playing against. Now let's go down to Florida and talk about the Florida Derby. Always Dreaming is going to be one of the, if not the favorite in this race. He got an absolutely perfect trip in this race. Now, that doesn't mean that he can't get another good trip. The second-place finisher, State of Honor, got a very good trip. Gunnevera, not as good, and we'll talk about him in a moment. Always Dreaming can win this Kentucky Derby. Maybe he's just getting good at the right time. It won't shock me. Todd Pletcher's woes in the Derby, I think they're a little overblown. He's 1 for 45, and he's probably run about 25 horses that he wouldn't have run if it was up to him. Having said that, I'm not thrilled with horses coming up from Florida for Todd Pletcher, the Derby. They haven't done great in the past, and Always Dreaming to me is a little bit dressed up. If I want a horse from that race, it's Gunnevera, because I think he was a little dressed up by a good trip in the Fountain of Youth, but dressed down by a pace that pretty much held together in the Florida Derby and being too far out of it because they had to work him over the rail from a difficult outside post position at 1.125 miles at Gulfstream. So I think Gunnevera has a chance. We'll see how he's doing down there. He's in my superfecta play. He's the one from the Florida Derby that I'll be using. Let's head up to the Wood Memorial. Well, with the Wood Memorial being downgraded unfairly to a Grade 2, nothing would make any of us in New York happier than to see the Wood Memorial winner win the Kentucky Derby, and certainly seeing our friend Rajiv Mirage, who's having a tremendous comeback year, seeing him in the winner's circle in Kentucky would be perhaps the best story of the entire year in horse racing, if not one of the best stories in sports. I do respect Irish Warcry. He's going to be my third choice in here, and of the short prices, he's the one I want. What worries me a little bit about him was the Wood Memorial Day card. That track, especially in the 2-turn races, exaggerated the performances of horses that were forwardly placed, as Irish Warcry was. So I think it may have flattered him. Still, it was a fast race. It's his second fast race on the Triple Crown Trail, and he bounced back well enough to suggest his poor performance in the subsequent race was perhaps a mirage. So I do think that Irish Warcry, who ran badly in the Fountain of Youth, is the favorite that I want to use. Maybe it's a little sentimental, but he's a talented horse for trainer Graham Motion, who we know knows how to win the Kentucky Derby. Let's head down to Keeneland, another race that, in my opinion, was unfairly downgraded. They all should be the same grade. Well, IRAP, the maiden, wins the race. Practical Joke hangs in the stretch, looks like he's getting by him. He can't get to him, but he ran much better than the trio of McCracken, who I'll get to, Taprit, and J. Boy's Echo. I could see any of these horses in this race running well in the Kentucky Derby. I'm a little worried that IRAP's going to get burned up in what will be a faster pace. I don't trust that McCracken really wants to go the distance, and I don't like that he missed a prep. And even though perhaps he needed a race a little bit in there, I still think he flattened out badly. Taprit, he's training well down at Churchill Downs. I won't be shocked if he outruns his odds. I've never been his biggest fan. He really did not run at all in the Bluegrass, and neither did J. Boy's Echo. Now, Dale Romans has done well in Kentucky with some long shots in the past, so I won't be shocked if any of these horses, and don't forget, J. Boy's Echo got that 102 buyer, perfect trip or not, in winning our Gotham. So I don't think he's totally ridiculous, and I'm not going to criticize people for taking prices out of this race. If you're taking 5 or 6 to 1 on McCracken, and once again, I think that morning line is incorrect, I think you're making a poor bet. That's just my opinion. Practical Joke. I'll admit, I have an affinity for this horse. A dual Grade 1 winner in New York last year. Distance is certainly a question for him. It's a question for pretty much all of these horses. But I believe that Practical Joke has run well enough in his races, and he appears to be getting better, a little better with each race, that he's worth a play in the roughly 20-1 range that he's going to be. Do I think he's the likeliest winner? No, I don't. But I think the Practical Joke, because of his odds and his overall performance record, is a major player in this race, and he is going to be my top selection in the Kentucky Derby. Let's head down to Tampa Bay and show you what McCracken and Taprit can do as they easily beat State of Honor, who finished second in the Florida Derby, when they were good. This was the good McCracken. He makes that nice run in here. The pace was fair in here, not super fast, but fair, and McCracken just mows him down in the stretch. We know he can win at 2 turns. We know he's won at Churchill Downs, having won there in the fall. The question is he going to get better with more distance? You have to judge. How good was this race? Are these 1-2 finishers in here not that good based on their performance in the Bluegrass? Or did each of them need their race last time out? To me, I don't really know the answer, and I wouldn't be shocked by a good performance by McCracken or Taprit. Taprit, however, will be a big price, so throw him in. McCracken at a short price, I think he's probably the most overhyped horse in this trail, and if he's going to be successful in the future, it might be in shorter races. Who knows? Maybe he'll be in the King's Bishop at Saratoga. Let's head out west to Santa Anita. Now, the West Coast has had a stranglehold on the Kentucky Derby over the last few years. I think a lot of people, myself included, think that's about to come to an end. I don't see Gormley winning this race. He got an absolutely perfect trip behind a blistering pace in what turned out to be a super slow race. And frankly, Battle of Midway, who finished second, he's the one who ran the better race. I think if you're going to take somebody out of this race, you'd probably take Battle of Midway because he ran the gamest race of all. Gormley just grounded out with a perfect trip in a fast-paced race. It's just too slow for me. I am a fan of California racing. We've seen some very good horses from out there, but they have had a very good run, and there's a bit of randomness to it. This year, it appears that the California horses, and mostly through attrition, because don't forget, Mastery would have been the favorite in this Derby had he not got injured. But the Santa Anita Derby is a race I'll be staying away from. Sunland Park, believe it or not, might have been the prep that's the most interesting one. And we're going to take a look at an explosive and impressive win by Hence in the Sunland Derby 6 weeks ago this coming Sunday. Now, if you look at the second-place finisher in here, well, he's the one, Conquest Mo Money, that ran extremely well in finishing second in the Arkansas Derby and arguably ran the best race. IRAP, and also ran finishing a distant fourth. He came back and upset the Bluegrass. Could this be a key race? Well, I'm not going to say it's a key race, but what I'm going to say is it's a better race than it appeared. It still came up a little bit on the slow side, but not so slow that he can't improve. Hence apparently doing well in Kentucky. I think Hence is a big-time player, and you'll see he's my second choice in this year's Kentucky Derby. One last prep we'll take a look at was down at the fairgrounds, and that's Gervin getting the best of the one-eyed horse, Patch. And Patch is a really cool horse, and you'd like to see him do well. But at the end of the day, for the winner, Gervin, he's had a lot of issues. He hasn't been training as much as they had wanted. He's wearing some sort of shoe in his workout. I can't trust Gervin. He doesn't appear to be fast enough to win, and I don't want a horse that has issues training up to the Derby. As far as Patch, listen, he's run 3 races. Who knows? Maybe he has a ton of improvement in him. Maybe we'll see it on Saturday. I don't worry about him drawing outside like Practical Joke. I like the outside post. It keeps you out of trouble, and we've seen horses from the auxiliary gate do very well in past derbies. That's post 15 on out. I just think that Patch and Gervin are too slow based on their races to win this Kentucky Derby, but there isn't that big a gap. If you want to take horses at big prices, don't be afraid in this Derby. There is no imposing horse. This Kentucky Derby may be as wide open a one as we have seen in a long time. I am going 19, 8, 17, 10. Practical Joke on top of Hence, Irish War Cry, and Gunnevera. It's going to be a fun race, and once again, plenty of good stuff going on at Naira Bets. There is a 3 million points. We've upped the ante for the Kentucky Derby Day. Hit and split on the Churchill Downs Pick 4, the All-Stakes Pick 4. That's on Kentucky Derby Day at Churchill Downs. A 10% exactor bonus. Play on your mobile device only. Get that 10% exactor bonus on the Kentucky Derby. And, of course, you got to play it through Naira Bets, and you've still got a few days to sign up for Naira Bets and get that $200 special Kentucky Derby weekend bonus. Promo code is Derby. Earn up to $200 on Naira Bets. Visit NairaBets.com for more information. And most importantly, best of luck in this year's Kentucky Derby.